Welcome to Pure Truth Podcast. This is your host and producer, Lucas Bewley. I know I'm a little bit late on, I said I was going to get started at 9 o'clock um, for all of my live streams. And this morning I'm a little bit late. I apologize for that. Uh, let me just be honest. I mean, it has been a tough road. Um, that's a whole nother story though. But I spent a lot of time, praying to the Father um, this morning. Um, well, like I do every morning, but this morning it was different. I was, kind of crying out to the Father, crying out to the Lord. Um, but anyways, so I'll just jump right into it. Actually, first, I got to remember, go to the link in the chat and buy Beauty, a Comedy Series Season 1. I'm telling you, it is hilarious. You're gonna like it. Check that out. That's the only place that you can get it is on Amazon. And so I have the link in the chat. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, to my channel. And oh yeah, and hit the bell notification. I knew I was forgetting something. Hit the bell notification. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's get into it. The NFL Day. I'm calling this NFL Day. NFL Day Part 1. So next week will be called NFL Day Part 2. And then obviously the week after next Monday would be Part 3. I'm doing something different. I'm not calling it episode 1, episode 2. I'm calling it part 1. So, yeah, NFL Day. Yay, right? I know a lot of Christians would be like, well, you should be sharing the gospel, like 7 days a week or whatever. Why are you talking about the NFL on Mondays? Well, why not? Why not? I have to ask, why not? Because what I mean by that is, why can't there be Christians, right? People that are following Jesus. Why can't they be the leading people in sports commentary, or like just in the sports world in general, or like a Christian sports analyst who is the lead analyst, right? Why can't there be, like, you see other analysts that don't know God, that they're the lead analyst? Well, why can't there be a Christian, analyst out there, or anywhere in the sports world, leading, that sport, or, whatever? So that's the whole point. That's my whole point for doing this, is so that if you are a believer of God, don't be afraid to talk about sports. If you are a sports nut and you are a Christian, don't be afraid to step out and talk about sports, because maybe God can raise you up to be the leading analyst, sports analyst. You never know. Like, God can use you that way. The kingdom needs you and I as sports writers, sports analysts, to be like the number one. So you can still be a part of, make an impact for the kingdom, doing kingdom stuff through being a sports analyst or having a sports podcast or NFL podcast or baseball podcast or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, you're not really, but who's to say that you can't every once in a while, kind of squeeze in? Well, it kind of sounds like you're just like fitting in, fitting. I don't want to make it sound like you're trying to just, your whole life is baseball and you're just squeezing in the gospel. But who's to say that you can't, still talk about the gospel while you're doing, you know, your podcast on the MLB or the NFL or, whatever. So, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I am going to, start talking about the NFL, mostly the NFL. There might be times where I talk about the MLB, or other sports, but mostly the NFL because it's my favorite sport. And I'm going to talk about NFL. And yeah, I will say that the Bears are my favorite team. So I might talk a lot about the Bears, but guess what? I am a fan that's not happy with the Chicago Bears. I'm basically I'm a fan that's probably gonna trash my team. I'm a fan that's probably going to be honest and say, will be honest and say the Chicago Bears are not going to the playoffs anytime soon. I know what the analysts want Bear fans to say. They want Bear fans to be happy for their new quarterback, but I mean, I don't care. I do not care. I'm not gonna, if I don't think that the new quarterback has potential or what, I'm not gonna support him. Sorry. You don't get my support. Let's, you know, let's see it first. Let's see it. I'm somebody that wants to see it. So, because you think about baseball, baseball is a very good example of this, where you come in as a rookie. Well, people, are going to want to see that greatness before you become a famous baseball player or a baseball player that is talked about, right? And it's kind of interesting how, the football in the NFL, it's the opposite, right? It's almost like they want to make you famous before you even get drafted in the NFL. I mean, that should tell you something. And I'm going somewhere with this. See, again, baseball is like you have to earn greatness. You have to earn greatness in baseball. It's almost like football. It's like there's so many NFL drafts that I can count that have made certain people famous before before even getting drafted. Before getting drafted, they have made certain people famous. And I can tell you, I know a lot of football fans are going to hate this, but Patrick Mahomes has is somebody that they have made famous before, even way before the NFL draft. Before the NFL draft, he was already catching fame. They were analysts and NFL analysts, and the NFL was already trying to get fans to um, to be excited for Patrick Mahomes. That should tell you something. Now, I do believe he's a good quarterback, but the thing is, why? So, remember when Trubisky got drafted? Hardly any analyst was, high for Trubisky. This is before the draft. You got to understand that this is before the draft. This isn't, I mean, we have no idea at this point what the two quarterbacks are capable of. And there are analysts who have highly praised, Patrick Mahomes, and not Trubisky. Well, and that was before the draft. Even before the draft, you go back before the draft, the analysts were talking about Patrick Mahomes. They were already creating the road for Patrick Mahomes to be a, put up on a pedestal. And why didn't they do that for Trubisky is what I'm getting at. Is what I'm getting at. You got to understand, like, that's one of the things that I have noticed is why for some players they automatically put up on a pedestal, and then there's other players even before they get drafted. Now they can say, well, that's because we've seen them in college, yada yada yada. You've seen a whole lot of players in college, and if you haven't noticed, it's only the people that come from the big college, the big football colleges, the huge, like Alabama. They're going to talk about a player from Alabama, from before the draft to the end of their season. The NFL is going to talk about somebody from Ohio State or, from Ohio college, somebody that comes out of Ohio, they're going to talk about. I mean, another one would be Penn State. I'm trying to think of a lesser college. Illinois. That's a college that they're not really going to talk highly about a player from Illinois. I mean, when you bring up Illinois football, the people in the NFL don't really talk about players from Illinois. So, I mean, there you go. Like, and you got to remember these kids are not drafted yet, and they're already, deciding which ones are going to be famous in the NFL and which ones are not. And they will bring up film of their days in college and stuff like that. Well, there's tons of people in college, tons um, of young kids in college, right? So, what's so special about somebody from Alabama? I mean, and they could be special, but I mean, the thing is, it's like, you know, um, it's almost like they have a deal with Alabama. It's it's like, um, you know, I don't get it, but that should tell you something. That should tell you something. Is Yeah, that's a little hypocritical for them, you know, but it's like what I'm getting at is why does the NFL do that? You got to ask yourself that question. Now, yeah, a lot of good football players have come from, Alabama, but it's like, well, um, there's some bad ones as well. Um, but then again, with Ohio or Ohio State, um, there's good ones, but then obviously there's bad ones that came out as well. So again, just because you go to your um, football, you're playing in college football in college for a um, highly known football college program, that does not mean that they are going to make it in the NFL. We know that. As fans, you know that. And so, my question is, why do they make them out to be famous when they haven't even played one single game or had one practice as a player in the NFL? Um, and there's something behind that. That's what I'm saying. There's something behind that. There is a narrative behind that. The narrative is the truth of the matter is the NFL is a entertainment. They're there to entertain the fans, just like wrestling is there to entertain the crowd. The the NFL is mainly there for entertainment. So I'm not saying that makes the game um, like not real, because I'm sure that the game is real, but however, that does mean that, yeah, the NFL has made rules. Obviously, they favored the NFL has favored an offense has favored offense um, throughout the years because they want points. They want points. Um, they notice that the fans like a game to be, touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And so that's one of the things. I mean, why do you think a quarterback gets special treatment? But what's funny is Patrick Mahomes will get special treatment. Do you think the backup, if he was to start, do you think the backup of Patrick Mahomes would get the same treatment? No. So, at the end of the day, they say it's all about, player protection. It's not about player protection. It's about, protecting these superstars. Why do they want to protect the superstars? Well, for entertainment. For entertainment. They want to protect the players that are put up on a pedestal because those players bring in entertainment. They bring entertainment to the fans, to the fan base. And so it's not about player protection, it's about protecting the players that, bring entertainment to the fan base. That's what it's about. You got on this because if it wasn't, player protection there would be, every player would get the same treatment. So think about hands to the face rule, right? Hands to the face. Why does that mainly only apply for the defense or for the defensive line or offensive line? That only really applies for them. Why doesn't it apply for a runner or for a quarterback that runs or for a receiver that runs after the catch? You see them put their hand, do a stiff arm to the face mask. And they don't call that. They allow that. The NFL allows that. They have a rule that says no hands to the face and a rule for a face mask. But then when a running back does a stiff arm to the helmet area or a quarterback puts his finger in the ear hole of the helmet, that doesn't get called. So that is hypocrisy from the NFL. But, they're not going to call that because they want the offense to, have success. And they want the offense, that's one of the ways that they kind of swing things in favor of the offense. So right now, you're already seeing, come on. If they're swinging if they're making things to that swing favor, that kind of go in favor of the offense so they can, get more points, well, why would they do that? It's all because entertainment. They have found that the NFL fans want to see scoring. And so that's the reason. Because again, if everybody in the NFL was getting the same treatment, they would flag the people that are doing a stiff arm to the helmet area. They would flag them. And it's interesting because I can talk about the NFL, but I'm going to talk about the MLB. the MLB, like you can, if you compare, if you can just sit down and compare other sports to the NFL right now, with player safety and this and that, the MLB does a better job. They treat, so it doesn't matter if you're in the MLB, if you're a star or a bench player or whatever, you're going to get the same treatment. And so that to me is kind of odd how, you can look at the MLB and go, well, everybody that gets hit by a baseball is getting the same treatment. Not just the same treatment where, they get hit by a baseball, they take the base. I mean, that's a rule. But if they get hit by a baseball, like in the helmet area or whatever, they're always there taking care of them. If somebody on the bench gets injured, they are taking care of that person that is sitting on the bench. If a starter is injured, they are taking care of them. If a star baseball player gets injured, they're taking care of them. If it's somebody that's not really, kind of like just an average baseball player that gets injured, they're taking care of them. So, I mean, you just look to baseball. Just look to baseball. They're taking care of their players. When you look at football, not every player gets the same treatment when they get injured. Not every player is getting the same treatment. Not every quarterback is getting the same treatment when it comes to flags and stuff like that. They're not getting the same treatment. That should tell you right there that the NFL really only cares about their stars. They really only care about the people who are entertaining the fan base. So, which is actually kind of sad. That's actually pretty sad. And so that tells me that the NFL is just there for entertainment. Now, that doesn't mean that the sport is fake, but it could mean that it's a little bit rigged, and some of the games probably are set up. Maybe not all the games, but I can guarantee you some of the games probably are maybe scripted, or maybe the ref does things to give one team a slight edge over the other, perhaps, or something like that. So that's, and why am I talking about this first? Why am I talking about this first? Well, if you're a fan of the NFL, you need to know what your sport is doing. I mean, this is what they are doing. And so, yeah, you need to be angry at the NFL. We need to come out maybe on the NFL's doorstep and protest, just, saying. I mean, you're not going to see me out there with a sign, but I mean, it's just, what I'm saying is that, like, it's time for the NFL fans to wake up and smell the coffee. Let's smell the coffee as NFL fans. Like, share, subscribe. I actually feel like I'm talking to a brick wall right now. I've been on 30 minutes and nobody has checked out my channel at all. So, whatever.